Hello there, you're watching our television. This is State of Business. I am Pamutha Katagampala. Our top stories. IMF encourages the perseverance of the reform agenda to ensure long-term benefits. Tourist arrivals tops 90,000 in the first half of January. Welcome back, you're watching State of Business. Now let's have a detailed look at those stories. Now, IMF Senior Mission Chief for Sri Lanka, Peter Brewer, said that the organisation realised that the benefits of the reform programme has not yet fully resolved the day-to-day challenges faced by the people. However, he stressed that perseverance in the reform agenda is key to ensuring economic benefits to all Sri Lankans in the long run. The IMF Mission Chief for Sri Lanka said this speaking at a discussion at the Presidential Secretariat recently.
It seems like there's a positive surprise in all of this, which will go a long way to build confidence with the international community, with official creditors, with private creditors. And that is very important. I think that will really sort of highlight the seriousness with which the authorities are approaching the reforms. So I think that really is good news. At the board meeting, directors pointed out other positive news. Inflation has come down so significantly because of the efforts that the authorities have undertaken with respect to monetary policy and with respect to scaling back monetary financing. So that really is another great achievement that was highlighted, amongst many others. The increase in reserves, we're getting positive signs that is working well. The governance reforms have begun, so I think these are all positive signs. And in fact, we are now seeing in the third quarter positive economic growth. Now, it is very tentative. It's not in the areas where we would like to see it in terms of benefiting the people. At the moment, it is sort of capital formation, it's the machinery and so forth, but you have to start somewhere. Eventually, that growth will move over to other sectors. And so I think that is good news. But for that to happen, of course, perseverance with the reforms is absolutely key.
Speaking at the meeting, President Ranil Wickremesinghe said that the deficit of qualified personnel is hindering the legal drafting process of the planned reforms. The President said that in order to resolve this issue, the government is planning to outsource some of the work to retired professionals and ones who are residing abroad.
Past few months, we can use two words, very satisfactory. But we have far more to go ahead. I think they've all dealt with most of the issues. In regard to laws, we have only one bottleneck. That is, we have very few personnel who are involved in drafting laws, and I think we may be having about 30 or 40, unless we find some ways of getting contracting out to some of the retired people or people abroad. So that's one issue. We have the bottleneck. As far as the Anti-Corruption Commission is concerned, no, they are going ahead. Actually, they had agreed on the principles on selections, but I think they were arguing on many issues around it. So there are about 2 or 3 changes, not on the criteria, but on some of the other matters. But it was not an issue because I think most of them came and agreed on the present chairman, Neil Idawela, who was earlier the additional Secretary General of Parliament and then a judge in the Court of Appeal. So there was unanimity as far as the chairman and the other 2 members were concerned. I met with them and I said, go through what you have to do. Don't rush into anything just because people say you have to catch the crooks, but go in, look at the training. There's actually a big, one of the issues that you have is certainly that most of them are not trained. You have got untrained. So look at what you have to do to develop your human resources.
Meanwhile, Tourism Minister Harin Fernandez said that total arrivals in the first 15 days of January surpassed 90,000, a substantial increase from last year. He said this during a press conference held in Colombo recently. According to the provisional data released by the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority, the country welcomed over 64,000 visitors in the first 10 days of January. Notable contributors to this surge include Russia with over 11,000, India with over 9,000, and Germany with 5,000 arrivals respectively. Other markets including the UK, China, France, Australia, Poland, the Netherlands, and the US also played a role in the positive trend. Tourism Minister attributed this success to the resumption of charter flights, higher international rankings, and ongoing promotional efforts. Fernando also said that he expects the resumption of services by Cathay Pacific and AirAsia and other budget airlines to boost arrivals, particularly from Australia. Sri Lanka Tourism has set an ambitious target of reaching over 200,000 monthly arrivals for January. Travelopath and Forbes magazine have recognized Sri Lanka as one of the fastest growing tourism destinations and the fourth best solo travel destination, respectively. Stay tuned for more stories after this short commercial break. Welcome back, you're watching State of Business. Now, State Minister for Tourism Diana Gamage has forecasted a substantial resurgence in the sector with expectations set at attracting 2 million tourists and generating an estimated revenue of $6 billion. She said this speaking at a press conference held at the Presidential Media Center recently. State Minister Diana Gamage emphasized successful measures implemented to promote tourism, resulting in over 700,000 tourists visiting the country this year. The Minister of Tourism is aiming for 2 million tourists in 2024, projecting an anticipated revenue of $6 billion. State Minister Gamage said that the government is actively working to address challenges including reported price increases at tourist attractions. She said that Minister Harin Fernando is in discussions with President Ranil Wickremesinghe to promptly address these issues. State Minister Gamage also said that projects in the pipeline to enhance convenience in cultural sites, waterfalls, Alla, Bandaravela, and other tourist attractions. These efforts are aimed at addressing various challenging and disheartening situations faced by tourists when traveling around the country. Meanwhile, the central bank has announced a significant move aimed at reinforcing governance in state-owned banks. Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe unveiled plans to forward guidelines for the appointment of State Bank Board of Directors to the Finance Ministry. The Central Bank Governor said this while speaking at the Annual Policy Statement 2024 held at the Central Bank premises last week. Dr. Veerasinghe said that the central bank aims to issue guidance to the Finance Ministry on appointments to the Board of Directors for state-owned banks. Dr. Veerasinghe said that a robust framework will mandate independent members on the boards of state-owned banks, enhancing governance. He said that nomination procedures will involve open searches adhering to specific standards for professional expertise and independence. The central bank aims to assess the fitness and propriety of directors, CEOs, and key management personnel of licensed commercial banks more rigorously. Approval will be granted based on relevant qualifications and experience, ultimately enhancing the competency of board compositions. Amendments include strengthening minimum licensing requirements, corporate governance, and various measures aimed at bolstering the stability of the banking sector. Now, Japanese Finance Minister Suzuki Shunichi said that it is imperative to wrap up the unfinished projects and finalize debt restructuring agreements before moving towards newer projects. Japan's Finance Minister Suzuki Shunichi met the President on a two-day official visit to Sri Lanka at the Presidential Secretariat recently. The Japanese Finance Minister expressed strong admiration for President Ranil Wickremesinghe, acknowledging significant improvements in Sri Lanka's economy. Talks between the leaders encompassed a wide range of subjects from information technological cooperation to maritime security collaboration. During the meeting, President Wickremesinghe said that Japan's role in addressing Sri Lanka's debt issues has been crucial and appreciated the ongoing support for Sri Lanka. President Wickremesinghe also highlighted the need for further collaboration, particularly in the realms of a competitive green economy and a digital economy. He stressed the importance of exports to enhance the trade balance, expressing optimism for the realization of a new economic model in Sri Lanka. The foreign minister anticipated the potential resumption of yen loans pending the conclusion of an MOU at the official creditor committee and continued debt sustainability. Stay tuned for the stock update. Welcome back, you're watching State of Business. Now the stock update. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on negative notes today.
The all-share price index dropped 64.65 points to close at 10,545.88, and the S&P SL20 dropped 23.90 points to close at 2,999.09. The turnover was 1.5 billion rupees and over 37 million shares were traded.
Coming up next are Forex rates. And that's it for tonight. For this and more, subscribe to our channel on YouTube and follow us on Facebook. Thanks for watching.